Hello, Brianna Lynn here. I'm popping on Facebook Live to talk about death. Oh, such a fun topic. Let me know if you're tuning in live or if you're coming on for the replay. Hello, as I'm watching people pop on. Death. It's been a very interesting subject. These past couple months, there's been a lot of death in the field. And it's been powerful, right? Death is a part of our cycles of life. Death is a part of who we be as human beings. Hi, Mateo. Hi, Troy. Seeing who else is popping on here. It's good to see you all popping on. Part of the reason why I came on is I just went for a walk and I noticed that I was eating a lot of food mindlessly earlier. I got some news this morning that has just been settling in my system. And yeah, so I noticed that I was mindlessly eating, so I went for a walk and then decided to come on here and just bring up this theme of death. I got news this morning that my dear uncle Raymond has pancreatic cancer, and that it's wrapped around his artery, and they give him just a few months, and he just retired from the fire department, Valley Fire Department. And over Valentine's low network connection. Okay, I'm back. Such a bummer when it does that. Okay, I'm going to try to move over here and see if it doesn't need to record. Over Valentine's Day weekend, I officiated, and officiating this funeral was such an honor and such a blessing, and really cracked open my heart in ways I didn't even expect it to. I had never met the person who passed away. I knew their sister. And she asked me to officiate the wedding because they wanted something non-denominational. So as a minister of the Earth Wisdom Way, I said, absolutely, I would love to officiate that. And so those are a couple of the deaths. My partner's stepdad just passed away as well. And we have a couple of other people just in kind of our close proximity that have died recently. Friends of friends or family members of friends. Excuse me, I'm burping because I overate today because I was very emotional and I ate some things that I wouldn't normally eat, and I noticed it and went for a walk, and now I'm here talking with all of you, and that's vulnerable for me to say, but I'm just saying it out loud. I'll probably go for another walk after this too, because there was just a lot of feeling coming up. And I was thinking my grandpa died in June of 2017, but I wasn't very close with him. And it's been several years since someone very close to me has passed away. My grandma Josie passed away, I think, was the most recent. And it's just a funny thing because none of us get out of here alive. You know what I mean? It's not like not any of us survived this thing. So as an integration of all emotions advocate, and part of the work that I do is supporting people being in that space of dying to all versions of self. I'm realizing more and more we're all just preparing for the final ceremony. We're all just preparing for that final ceremony, which is when we leave this planet, when we enter into the cervix of the next universe. You know what I mean? We don't know what it is. And that is really what I wanted to talk about today, is the great mystery, TGM. We don't know. And I noticed that most religions and most belief systems are built on trying to explain where we came from and where we're going next. And the deep, deep truth is we don't know. We just don't know. It's the great mystery. And all the earth wisdoms, all the indigenous-based spirituality practices, the rites of passage, the stories, we're all around the mythos. We're all around honoring the great mystery, honoring the fact that we just don't know. We don't know where we came from. We don't know where we're going next. It's really hard to build a religion or a mindset around we don't know where we're going. But I'm finding more and more that having the practice of being with the trees, of being with the birds, of being in nature, there is a not knowing of what's going to happen next in that allows me as a participant in nature to be open to the spontaneity of life. That when I actually relax, when I actually surrender into the great mystery, that I don't need to be doing, I don't need to be creating, I don't need to be making my life, then all of a sudden there's a deep relaxation into truth. And the only truth is we don't know shit, that it is the great mystery. Is that what a shaman is? Heard it's someone that walks through their death. Thoughts? Sanika, what's your question? How do you recommend one consults another in the wake of death? Is that what a shaman is? Heard that someone that walks someone through their death. Thoughts? That's a great question. So as a shamanic practitioner myself, what we practice is dying, right? Dying to different versions to ourself, or different parts of self that I've been holding as truths within myself. Like, my father treated me this way and that's why I react this way. It's like we learn how to relax or surrender or integrate that part of ourself. Ultimately, it's all about integration. And then there's also the shamanic experiences of trance states, or entering into other dimensional states, where you learn how to bridge between this state and the next state through relaxation of the physical body, through intention setting, through song, through these different practices. And all of those practices, the physical relaxation, song, intention, are also ways to help us understand death when it's our time to transition. So ultimately, ceremony is about practicing dying when it's our time. Whether that's through dance ceremony or song ceremony or plant medicine ceremony or prayer ceremony, it's all about understanding our relationship with life, being fully committed to the short time that we have here. It's short. It's really fucking short. And then also being in the amplified field of when it is time to die, how do I fully surrender? And so a lot of ritual, ritual from all over the world, in many different cultures, is about playing out that cycle of birth, life, death, and then rebirth. And understanding that when it is our time, there gets to be an exhale, there gets to be a release in that. And I'm still just understanding my own relationship with death and my own relationship with my own mortality. This funeral that I officiated was so beautiful. The young man had died from an overdose, and his parents were so lovely and in deep pain, but also in deep release of what he had carried on for his life for about a decade before that time. And that death is also a completion of contracts, not for only the person who is dying, but also, or the person who's died, but for the people who are left behind. That there is a completion of in this lifetime, our karmic contract. And so seeing the celebration, not only of life, but also of death, that our time together is complete. Together, our time learning together, our time creating together is complete, and there gets to be a celebration in that too, even in the grief, even in the loss, even in the horror, even in the surprise. So yeah, I'm still learning how to dance with this death. So, I would love to hear you guys' relationship with death. It's such a unique thing, and I love hearing, different cultures' celebrations. I really love hearing about, ancient Egyptian celebrations of death, or even the way that different cultures around the world celebrate death. One of my favorites is I was in Bolivia for their All Saints Day, for their version of Dia de los Muertos, a feyu different times, but in 2015 I was there leading a trip, and in Tiquipaya, we were staying just south of Cochabamba, this little town in southern Bolivia. And there were bands in the cemetery and food carts set up. It was like a little festival in the cemetery, and people brought all these garlands to decorate on the tombstones, and hired their friends and their family's favorite bands. And it was really a different texture, a different quality to a relationship with death than anything that I've experienced, being from Southern California and, having more of a traditional funeral experience. And so I really wanted to bring a little bit of that liveliness to the funeral that I officiated to, and just really said a prayer of life and honored, every human that we get to interact with gets to create an impact in our life, and to honor that dearly. So I'm exploring my relationship with death. I would love to hear, again, any of you, if you have any traditions or rituals or things that you do when someone dies. or any experiences of death that have been transformative or integrative, right? Have helped you integrate different parts of yourself. I understand that grief is a part of it too. I'm not a fan of necessarily running to the lesson. Like, let's get the lesson out of everything. Someone died. Let's get the lesson. No, like, we get to grieve that process too, grieve that loss. But I do believe ultimately, especially in the challenging bits, that there are deep learnings and deep gems to be cultivated when it's time, but not to be rushed into right away, but to be with whatever emotion rises. So I just want to say thank you all, Facebook Live, for being, instead of being my third pizza slice, I came on Facebook Live instead. It was like opening every leftover box in the fridge, and I just got to like intentionally stop myself and love on myself unconditionally and just be like, oh, little Brianna is sad. Little Brianna is feeling the death of her uncle. Little Brianna is wanting to drive to her family, but there's no cars at her house right now. And yeah, none of us make it out alive. None of us survive this thing. And there's something really powerful about that we all are mortal and we all get this one short life to live, and the beauty and the power of that. Oh, Marie France, what do you say? In Ghana, they mourn the body for 30 to 40 days and then have a huge party. They also do annual remembrance. Yeah, I really like the annual remembrance. And having pictures of the family members is a really powerful thing too. I like the idea of having an altar of those who have passed. And so I'm thinking, I have some pictures of some of my relatives who's passed that I bring out during All Saints Day, during Halloween time, Samhain, as it's called in the Celtic tradition, or Samhain. But to have that out all the time, to really honor those who have passed. Yeah, I would love to hear if anyone else has, I love you too, Marie France, if anyone else has experience with, different death rituals, different death ceremonies, because it's something that I think in our emotions, we're taught to either hide it or just cry in this certain time, I've noticed with death, there's waves, right? There's these waves that come and go, and there's these waves that can all of a sudden overtake the body, and wow, like we're not promised any moment, right? Like we have no guarantee that we're going to have another moment with each other. And so how to stay in the gratitude without going into paranoia is another thing that I often deal with when I contemplate death, because I want to be in the aliveness of knowing that we have a short time without popping over into the paranoia of we only have this short amount of time. So thank you all for tuning in. Hi, Don. It's good to see you here. Thank you for being here. Hi, Sydney. It's good to see you. Thank you all for being here. I might have some green stuff in my teeth from eating the pizza that I did. I never eat pizza. Cheese is not good for me. I ate the cheese on it too. And I was having an emotional eating moment. And I let myself go there. And I want to go for another walk right now, just to be outside in the forest again. But I just wanted to come on and be human with all of you and share a little bit of the process of the grieving and the realness of being in the cycles of it. And yeah, 2.5 pieces, if I'm being real. 2.5 pieces of pizza did help for a little bit. And then I got to remember, oh yeah, I want connection, and there's no one at my house right now. So I went to the trees and then came back here. But let's see what Janae says. Not a ceremony, but when my niece and nephews passed away in a house fire, my family bought prisms. And when the light shines on them during the day, we text each other to tell us that they're visiting. Oh, that's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, so I love all of you. There's one other thing I wanted to share. I have this ring. It's really beautiful. It looks like an engagement ring. It's not an engagement ring. It's on my right hand, which in my culture is not an engagement ring. This is my engagement ring to myself. It would be on my left hand if I was engaged to someone else. But this engagement ring is to me. This is my engagement to my own channel. So on Valentine's Day weekend, I was leading a ceremony with my partner and our dear guardian Ian and our dear guardian Lila, And there was a moment on Saturday night where there was a question of something that I had suggested in this space. And I just, with all respect and with all love, decided to, no matter what is going down, to really learn how to trust myself deeply and also receive feedback from others. And so I asked myself to marry my own channel, and I did. So that's another little nugget I wanted to share with all of you guys about this last roundabout. But what I got to let die during that too was any lack of unconditional self-love. Unconditional self-love for my body, unconditional self-love for my mind, unconditional self-love for my emotions, unconditional self-love for my will, in all parts of this self, and so that I can unconditionally love you more and more. So that's what this ring is for. So if you ever see it, this is my engagement. I'm engaged with my own channel. That's fantastic, and it feels fabulous. I asked her, and she said yes. So if you want to send me an engagement gift, you're more than welcome to. Just kidding. I love you all, and thank you for being here. Sydney says, love that. Love you too, Sid. Many blessings, and as always, thank you. Thank you for sharing. If this moves you, share it on your page, share it with a friend, share it with Liv. Thanks for being with me even through the conversation on death. Many blessings.